Hello everyone and welcome to SUGTalks. I'm Craig Dale, your host, and together with our special guests, we'll take a deep dive into the topics, challenges and opportunities facing SAP users today. Please make sure you do subscribe so you don't miss any of our future episodes. I'm delighted today to be joined by Stefan Kneis, Chief Customer Officer, SAP BTP, and Head of BTP Product Success. So welcome, Stefan.
Welcome, Craig. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
It's great to get you on here, actually. We'll come back to that a bit later. And so in today's episode, we're going to be discussing SAP's BTP Voice of the Customer program and how users can add their voice to the future development of BTP. Before we drop into that, Stefan, just like to ask you, what's your favourite way to decompress after a long week?
That's actually an interesting question, Greg, you're raising. I think there are a couple of things which come to mind. One is sports, active, in my age now, mostly golfing, or passive and still following, like we say in the US, soccer, but the rest of the world calls it football. Right? I'm still an avid fan of the Bundesliga, and then through my son, I'm also getting all the latest from the Premier League. And I used to be I'm still a big fan of Jürgen Klopp, but looks like he left a nice legacy with Liverpool this year. So.
Yes, well, okay, we won't go too much into Liverpool's success, but yeah, it looks like they're going to be successful again this year. And yeah, I understand what you mean about sport. I mean, for me, I think cycling just get me out into my own headspace, just focusing on the road, clearing the head and everything. I think it's that, even from, what you say, golf being a passive sport, it gets you out there, you're focused on you, the club, the ball, the hole, and everything else can be pushed away from your mind.
And that could be already enough, to be honest. Am I right? I'm focusing on those few things, and do them really well. Yeah, so it's a humble game. It's a humble game, I can tell. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Stefan. And we've known each other a very long time, and I know that you've long been the champion of the SAP customer. I think when we first met, you were heading up the global user group office, working with user groups around the world, and facilitating that connection between SAP executives and user group communities around the world. So, just to start things off, could you introduce yourself and your role at SAP to our listeners, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you mentioned my current titles I'm allowed to carry, right? Throughout my SAP career, you're absolutely correct. There's one thing besides the SAP solutions I'm always centered around, and that is the customer. Starting my early days in product development, where at that time, we all worked with the customers when we designed the software, when we developed the software, when we took the software to what we call now early adopters. This was all embedded basically in the SAP development teams, including supporting our customer-facing functions in sales and pre-sales. Then obviously SAP grew. We had to get organized among key roles, right? And a little fun fact, I live in the US. I was asked to move to the US, so I had the opportunity for 3 years. Back in 2000, and now here we are, 2025, and I'm still in the same location. Yeah. And a pivot milestone in my career was right after I moved, they challenged me here in the US in becoming the counterpart inside SAP. They call this executive liaison for ASAC. And for 3 years, I got to learn and work with ASAC, how to best support each other. And again, all about, at the end of the day, our customers, how we can scale as SAP, right, into such a huge market in the US, right, in educating our customers, but also giving them a voice, right. We will talk about this a little later. Yeah. And then this progressed. We got to know each other when I had a chance to build up the Global User Group office, and then we launched this network of all the user group, Schugen, and it felt like almost like a homecoming. Then a few weeks ago, we ran into each other with some other of the long-standing folks, right? And I'm so glad we connected, and I'm able here to talk to you today.
No, magnificent. And yes, I'm very happy to see you when I was out there in Waldorf a couple of weeks ago. And could you explain, Stefan, what the Voice of the Customer program is and what are its main goals?
Yeah. Let me just maybe set the stage for a minute before we go there. Where we are right now, right? Obviously, BTP as such, right, is a very solid foundation in the meantime for all SAP solutions, right? And we see this, and you probably can also attest to this in your membership base. So that's important for me, right? That we are working on something where we're also asking some time of our customers to give us feedback. It's a product we are keeping investing into. So that is one important aspect to understand. Then secondly, Muhammad Alam, who owns all product and engineering, we have a very high number of developers now at SAP, now all brought together under one umbrella. He also has a certain expectation from my team and my colleagues, right, that we become a more active voice inside SAP, if needed, also outside SAP, to bring together what we call the product experience. Yeah? Because it's also evident it's not just about feature functions and the product itself, right? It's the whole experience from a customer point of view, which is in the cloud, a different one than when you are running SAP on-prem, because you give up a little of those responsibilities, in our case, to SAP, how to operate the system, how to set up, especially in BTP, how to set up tenants and things like that. So that's why product experience is even a little bit broader than the product engineering part of itself. So that's important to understand, and my team here has the responsibility for the BTP product success. And we took a look at the early in the year, said, okay, what are our key priorities in 2025? And one is clearly SAP Build. Yeah. So we said, okay, why not using SAP Build for the first run of what we call the Voice of the Customer program? Yeah. What we are doing in essence, Craig, is we're doing a 360 view on where does the market, defined by our customers, but also defined by some key SAP functions who are very close with customers, like our enterprise architect community, like our TQMs in premium support, like the up to 4,000 BTP consultants we have worldwide, touching a customer every day. Yeah, I want to get all their perspective basically in one channel, through multiple channels, in one data lake, so to speak, right? And then we can analyze this, and the main goal, the ultimate goal at the end, is to provide a market perspective, which is backed up by numbers, for instance. Yeah, so this is not just the opinion from 5 customers, it's the opinion ideally from 50 or maybe 500 customers. And then sit down with our engineering colleagues. In our instance, Michael Ameling runs the entire BTP engineering organization. Then there's a chief product owner for Build. And together we will take a look at all those data and then decide, okay, which feedback we find relevant. I mean, obviously, in my point of view, everything is relevant, but it's not like we can tackle everything with the same priority.
Thank you. So I suppose ultimately then it's working with customers to improve the product so the product's successful and customers are successful in leveraging it.
Absolutely, that is spot on. If you boil it down, this is exactly what it is. Yeah. So Yes, I would say for the most part, we are looking for customers who are touching BTP today, between running maybe currently a proof of concept, like many are doing, all the way up to the ones, right, we have, and we have 29,000 customers on BTP. Yeah, that's not to say that all of them using Build, by far. Not all of them are using Build, yeah. But maybe some others who are not using it today are because they're on the BTP journey, they are thinking about Build, yeah. So that's the community we want to reach, and I simply thought that there are a couple of ways to do it, quite frankly, Greg. But we thought one, which make the most sense to me, is via the user group community to go to your members. Yeah, and you know better, honestly, than I, who are the right people in the UK and Ireland to get this questionnaire to.
Okay, excellent. So we're looking at customers who really are using Build, leveraging Build for their organisations on BTP, so that we can get their input. And I suppose that brings me to influencing. And how does the Voice of the Customer program influence the development of SAP Business Technology Platform?
Yeah. So I'm fully honest and transparent here with you today. We are doing this particular program for the very first time.
Okay.
We have done other ways to get the voice of the customer heard, right? We have established a global customer advisory board for BTP. Yeah, we have established a regional customer advisory board for BTP in the North Americas region, and we are closing the gap in the second half of the year in doing the same in EMEA as well as in APAC. Yeah, so that's one way already, right? We have done what I touched on a little bit earlier, in talking to many of the SAP colleagues who are working with our BTP customers on a daily basis. Yeah, we have done this as well, and that's already working. But we want to take this to another level, right? And it's if you will, it's a formalized approach. Yeah, we have mapped it out even as a process in Signavio, how we're going to do this, who are the key stakeholders, yeah, using the tool which probably makes the most sense for gathering the information, yeah, which will be a survey driven by Qualtrics. And I'm very excited, have very high expectations on the return rate, right? Because ultimately, yeah, that's the voice of the customer we need. We need, a significant number of those surveys sent back to us. And I don't expect that all of them have the same quality of input, because I don't know how much you know about SAP Build. We have several key components in Build. And somebody may only right now focus on workflow. That's okay. Then they should get their voice heard for workflow only. It's still a very important voice. Yeah.
Okay, so that's great. So I suppose from that perspective, not through the Voice of the Customer program as such, as you said, we're looking to do this. Although no, I think you said you're looking to do this way for the first time, but you've got obviously different Voice of the Customer programs that you've run in the past. Do you have any examples of how customer feedback has shaped, BTP features, services, or roadmap activities?
Yes. Okay, so we can start, for instance, with a very more like generic one. Yeah, if I go back, BTP was named BTP about 4 years ago, before we used to call the version at the time Cloud Platform. Yeah, that's also right about the time when I had a chance to join the team. We had rocky days and weeks at the time in terms of stability of the platform. We had way too many outages, and therefore challenged the customers who were committed to BTP and building something, right? And myself, my team, other leaders, we had to go on way too many customer calls where we apologized, but also certainly then explained and promised that this is going to be better. And the decision then was really made that we have to change, that we have to almost take a step back, not to focus always on the latest innovation, the latest feature, which gets the customer excited, but quite frankly also gets the developer excited, and rather spend more time in getting BTP to the robust platform, the reliable platform our customers need and quite frankly deserve. And that was not an easy task, done only in a few weeks. So this was a significant shift. It was driven by customer feedback. And then at the end, at the highest level, the colleague who was leading BTP at the time made a decision. Okay, let's do this. And I think today the results are paying off. We have very good availability. We're beating our 99.99 goal. And to me, this is a clear success story because I was in this meeting, I initiated those meetings, these conversations, and we could only win at the end because there were different opinions in the room. We could only win in the end when we showed here are the customers who have the very same issue. And unfortunately, the customer list was not small.
Oh, thank you. And so, what other advantages are there for customers who participate in the program? You know, for instance, do they get early insights into BTP strategy or get to influence the product direction directly?
Well, actually, you bring up a couple of interesting points. Let me start with your second question. It's all about influencing the product directly, right? Now we're doing this in a community approach. One thing I learned, and you know this, Craig, right? And I'm fully committed here, is the following. Right, we're going to roll this out via the user group network. I had maybe, besides you, 8-10 other user groups who are already very, very interested. So there will be a number, maybe not all the 30 plus, but a significant number will work with us. We will ask the very first question on the survey is, hey, to which user group do you belong, right? And then I'm committed to bring this information back to you, right? Because we allowed them to do this. So you get a clear perspective of what's the voice of your community. We're very committed then, for instance, as we go along the process, to keep that community informed. This could be in writing, this could be a webcast, a dialogue, right? Very important to me is then that, and I cannot give you a date for that, when we come back and do what we call close the loop. I think we owe it to everyone who's taking time, filling out that survey, sharing their perspective on BTP, that we tell them what really happened with that feedback. In essence, how much basically did this change our planning, investment planning, development planning for BTP, which, by the way, we do now twice a year across the entire product and engineering unit. Mohammed is driving very good discipline, right? Because, as you can imagine, always important, especially for BTP, to be fully aligned with our internal customers as well, because BTP is the foundation where everyone develops on. So we get also requirements from our internal customers, and my job is to balance this off, to get the voice of you, Craig, and your community heard. But the commitment is clear. We are coming back, whatever it is, I don't know. Is it 80% we were able to influence? Is it 50? I don't know it, to be honest, today. But the answer will be very transparent. Then at least the community can decide, okay, with this information, now I can plan my project maybe slightly in a different way.
Okay.
We know our community, but we don't know yours yet. Why not share the benefits of your UKI Sub membership with those who don't know about us? The UKI Sub referral scheme rewards you for helping to grow and develop our community. You can check out the link in the description to find out more about how you can get involved. Terms and conditions apply. We hope you enjoy the rest of the podcast.
And so you've talked about the surveys going out to customers, and the very first question, which user group do you belong? How long are the surveys? What's a commitment from a customer in completing that?
We are still debating this. So our plan is to launch a survey on the week of May 9th. And now we have, honestly, in SAP, we have people there, really experts in optimizing a survey. If you're looking for a high rate of return survey, which is one of our goals, but not the only one, versus the product team. We are not doing this in isolated, right? We are teaming up with the product team already there to make sure we are asking the right questions which, relevant, the answer is relevant to us. And this is still a little bit of a balance, but I'm told that we're going to end up somewhere in 15 to 20 minutes. I mean, it's a combination of ratings and maybe some drop downs. You can pick certain things, but there will be ample opportunity to share additional, let's call it free text. So I cannot limit the customer who wants to go really depth and say, hey, let me tell you all the pain I have been through with workflow automation, right? And I give you very specific, I think you have to change. And that's great. And, in the past, people said, okay, that's very hard to analyze. And I tell my team, no, I don't think so in the age of AI, right? I mean, dump all the text into the right tool. I'm sure we're getting the key points very, very fast out of this. And coming back to your question, what might be happening? What could be very well happening is, let's say we decide even a new group of features in WorkZone, and we go to beta with that release, right? Then I would love to come back again also to the user group, say, hey, we have improved the product. It's in the product. It's right now in beta phase. For the next 2 months, we are looking for 20 customers becoming partners in this beta program. I can very easily see that we also do this with the same group of people.
Thank you. And just looking at further points, that's another further positive, I suppose, getting involved in a beta program. So looking at other positive elements from a customer perspective and them engaging in the program, will their engagement help them perhaps better align their own organizational BTP strategy or adoption plans?
Well, so just to be clear, right, we are reaching out to those who you just described. We're asking them or giving them the opportunity to share their feedback, right? That survey itself, I would say probably not what you just asked. To be quite frank, they cannot necessarily see this, how this would work. But maybe we have to ask the question here, where maybe there are customers, they want to have a deeper conversation about exactly what you said. That could be a question we can add at the end if the customer wants us to reach out back to him, right? I mean, I mentioned before, right? In the old days, we talked about consultants. They're not named consultants anymore, not at SAP at the least. No? But that team who has deep BTP skills, who's working with customers, is in the meantime up to 4,000 people globally, right? And all their goal is, at the end of the day, is supporting customers in adopting BTP. Right? This is where we are united. Yeah? This is where the cloud also works different than on-premise. Yeah? And by the way, also, maybe we can take even a look at that, because inside SAP, we know customer X how much BTP they're using, because we run it for them, right? And we allowed to know that. That's part of our cloud contract, right? And I can tell you, this is different than 10, 15 years ago, Greg. I could tell you for every UKI user group member, what they're really using in BTP, if at all. We have that information. And this would be another thing, maybe also then to tie to the community of those who are sending the feedback. because you could also say, hey, it's 100 customers, or you could say, well, those 50 customers, they represent X of what we are currently collecting on BTP credits. So they probably have a really or should have a really good voice, because on the one hand, we're going to safeguard what they're doing, but hopefully there's even more. And quite frankly, that's the beauty about BTP. I have yet to find a single customer I'm working with who says at the end, we are done, Stefan. We have implemented everything we wanted from BTP. I don't see this. They're all talking about what's next. They have a roadmap. And those insights, maybe some questions will be also already formulated towards future functionality. So when we come back and tell them, yes, we're going to invest more in mobile start, and it looks like ABC, for instance, this can help them actually in their roadmap. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So looking at our members getting involved and SAP customers getting involved in the program. We've talked about the survey. We're looking at 15 to 20 minutes of time, commitment to complete that survey to get the information back to you. Is there any other ways users can get involved, or any other commitment that you need apart from perhaps following up? So I think you wanted to, in the follow-up, get a group of customers together to have some deeper input.
Yes. I mean, like I mentioned, this is almost a pilot program of a new approach. Yeah, this does not replace any of the ongoing influencing opportunities we already have with BTP, which I know, Craig, you are very aware of the programs in general. I mentioned already the beta program. I have not mentioned, but we also run a substantial number of early adopter care, EAC programs. All of them are accessible via influence.sap.com. That is the central landing page for any SAP product where a customer has an opportunity to influence. So we are active there with BTP. We are also active in the Customer Engagement Initiative, which is a different program, a different approach. Also here, in every cycle, and there are 3 cycles per year normally, correct? Right? We have 5 to 8 BTP-related CEI programs. And then there is a continuous influence where you can go out basically and post there and say, hey, I do have an issue. I think within integration suite we are missing AB, or B is not necessarily working as it should. Then other customers, as you know, can see this as a user group member, and then they can upvote or can have a different opinion. And we're also looking to that feedback channel. Yeah. I must say that later on, while it sounds on paper probably good, in reality, we don't see the engagement. And that might be also a little bit based on the challenges on our side, that we have not always, responded in a timely manner. And then people just walk away from that. Right?
Okay, thank you. And so looking at a timeline on that. So you mentioned there you're hoping to get out May the 9th. These things often slip. So let's say we're getting the survey out mid-May. How long will that remain open for?
We are thinking right now between 4 to 6 weeks.
It's just I'm actually thinking forward already that we've got a BTP symposium running at the end of June in Dublin, and I just felt it would be a great platform to give a bit of a push there. So if you can leave it open until maybe early July, that might work for us pushing more people through it as well.
Yeah. So and maybe this is what we do. I would like to propose the following. No problem whatsoever within all the user group leaders who are part of this program. Let's say there are 10. I know ASAC will do a big splash about. DSAC is also certainly highly interested. Some others we spoke to during the recent workshop in Waldorf. And I probably would say we're going to keep an eye on it, right? If we get not overwhelmed, but if we give a lot of responses in the first 2 to 3 weeks, then I think we probably want to stay in the 4 weeks. Mm-hmm. That being said, we are already preparing the next one in the BTP case. So the next one we are preparing at least is about BTP Mobile. So the mobile aspects, the SDK, the mobile apps, which is even a little bit overlapping with build. But also here, we know we have some pain points, and we want to get a level deeper to understand those pain points. And I have other colleagues of mine who are owning other key programs like the integration. They would love to do this as well. So to me, and on my team, it becomes a little bit of a scalability issue. But we also want to learn to the first one, right? What works and how can we add? And keep in mind, as I mentioned before, I do not go exclusively only after the user group members. We also will like some other internal, indirect channels, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And also here, I will be very happy to be transparent with you, for instance, in a report out, okay, how well are we doing? Where is the quality of feedback coming from? Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. I think that's really key, and it's good to see that it's going to continue, because we'll be able to leverage that as we go forward through the year for different, maybe, leveraging some of the events and some of the other elements we're running to drive participation in that for you. So as, I suppose, from what you're seeing so far and from the other programs, what are some of the key themes or challenges that SAP is exploring right now in the context of BTP development?
So as I said before, right, almost every BTP customer is at a different stage. Maybe let me also use this opportunity to say and explain. There's not a BTP product per se, like you say, hey, there's an S4 product or there's an Ariba product. BTP is different in a way that BTP, in essence, is a collection of about 80 plus services. Some are independent, some are working together by design, right? And BTP is the term we use to describe that we have a business technology platform, not just a technology platform for development, but the business aspect of the platform is a very important one, because I think this is the unique differentiator against some other platforms, right? I mean, people moving SAP to the cloud, private or public, they have other opportunities to build additional app, right? You do not necessarily need to do this on SAP, right? But you're missing out certain aspects, right? The insights, right, you have on BTP of your business data, of your business logic, is not to underestimate. So that, I think that is important to understand. And so different services have different needs. Yeah, and I said, build was a priority for us to get going, not only with the Voice of the Customer program, but overall, right? Because we see on the one hand a lot of interest on build, and on the other hand we could see a little bit more market adoption, right? And we want to find out, is there a disconnect, or what are the things which are limiting our customers to do more on SAP build? Yeah, because it's clearly a strategy, to the point that in the future, and some customers are on the journey already, one key component of build is work zone. And we have now really refined our single entry point strategy built on work zone, right? So in essence, almost every customer in the future who accesses S4 in the cloud, for instance, will become an indirect user of BTP. That is different, right? And there we have to be rock solid and need to be 7x24, right? We cannot take the service down. If you take the service down, people cannot access S4 or LOB solutions. There's a different need when you look at this service versus maybe a new functionality of the recent years, like event mesh and in integration, where they needed early on guidance because they could have gone left or right with this product. And we work with customers to understand what's the better way, right? But I don't think we really have leveraged the user groups as much as we could have, and that is something I'd like to change.
Thank you. So as we come towards the end of our discussion now, Stefan, just kind of summing up from my perspective is the ask of the customers is to complete the survey, get your feedback to us so we can improve the product for you, in a nutshell.
Yes.
And finally, we've covered a lot of ground. We've covered a lot of different areas and lots of information on the program. In a short elevator pitch, why should one of our members get involved?
Please get involved if you are interested in shaping the future of SAP Build, which is one of the key components in BTP for extending SAP, for your own app development, for automating SAP, and for user engagement such as WorkZone. The Voice of the Customer program will give you exactly that opportunity.
Stefan, thank you. Thank you for taking the time. I know it's very early in the morning for you, and actually getting into the office to do it. I appreciate that. And, thank you for your insights, and really do appreciate having you on here. Thanks, Stefan.
Thank you, Greg. It has been a great honor to be invited to the program. Always happy to be here, and maybe we can repeat this a little bit, read out to your community once we are through the process, and can take a retro perspective of what we promised here today. How does this play out at the end?
That'll be great. I'll hold you to that, don't you worry. And to our listeners, thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and found it valuable. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our future episodes. And until the next time, stay safe, stay well, and be happy.